bunch of you here, and they're popping in like crazy. So as we're popping in, I'm going to open the chat on my other computer. So that if we have a problem or a question, you can stop me at any time, and I'll pause for questions as well as we're going through it. The first thing I just want to do today is kind of take you through the best way to let me close this, stop that. You can see my messy desktop. So I'll show you the best way when we go live, because I'm going to take you live for a little bit, and you might want to be live in your meeting on your screen as well. So when we go live, if you just make your screen like half the size, and then you can open a browser window on the other half. This isn't a browser window, but we can have a browser window on the other half. And that way, if we're live, you can be in your team over here working, and then you can still see what I'm doing on the other side, which will be really helpful for you. I'm not sure you're seeing the other side right now. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Let me share this one more time, because I'm seeing on my other computer, you're not seeing it. So let me just stop and see if I can share the right thing with you this time. There you go. So now what you'll see, let me try this again, is if I get up in here and click in my team, I would have my team over here, and I could have a browser on this side, and they can be side by side that way. Otherwise, when I start, if you go live with me and don't do that, I'm gonna be this itsy bitsy postage stamp. And you won't be able to see much. The other thing that's beneficial to you when you're working here is when you see our names, if you find my name here, I can't do it because I'm me, but if you hover over my name and click on the three dots, you can pin me. And if you pin me, then I'm gonna stay at the forefront. And that way I won't be like hidden behind a lot of other people's windows or something that might just be toggling into view. Now I'll keep not me at the forefront, but what I'm more concerned about is keeping the presentation at the forefront for you. So for right now, I'm going to hide this and get it out of our way. And I'm going to go on and move over to the main presentation, because what I want to show you today, we're going to talk about the masterclass series, just a tiny bit, kind of go through a little bit of that. And so we'll look at the masterclass series and what we've been doing for those of you who haven't been here before, so you'll know kind of what was covered in part 1 and part 2. And then we'll go on and jump into what our agenda is today. So pretty much this is the description we had, that we're going to set up a class notebook and learn how to create digital notebooks. We're also going to spend some time on Teams, because we haven't spent a lot of time on Teams. So we're going to start with Teams and then work into the class notebook and see how to create them for all of our students, distribute assignments, and those types of things. So we're really going to be talking about Teams and class notebook. Last time we talked a lot about OneNote Notebook. So if you want to know more about OneNote Notebook, then go to the recording for Masterclass 2 that you can find through q.org/Microsoft. They have a link to the recordings, and all of them are now on YouTube. So it'll show you some, but it'll say find the rest here on YouTube. And so we have all those recordings there where you can go back and see them. So we've done the sessions 1, and this was supposed to say and 2. Obviously, when I was busy working, I didn't do that well, but that'll drive me crazy. So let me put 2 there. There we go. Sessions 1 and 2 recap. And then we're going to look at Teams and assignments, go over that a little bit, and jump into class notebooks, and then resources and questions. So I have all of that for you ahead. And so I just want to do the recap of the first couple of sessions, just real fast, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I wanted you to catch up if you weren't here. So we talked about how Microsoft Teams and all its tools can be streamlined for education and really help us, especially in this time of coronavirus. We don't know what we're doing next year when we go back to school, if we'll be face-to-face, if we'll be some face-to-face, some at home, if we'll be all at home, and every place is different. We just don't know. And so it'll really especially help in this time of digital learning and remote learning, the instruction that we're doing with this blended learning approach. And when we first had the first session, we found that most of the people attending here are moving from Google to Microsoft. And so we went through a lot of the comparisons. It's like if you compare Windows to a Mac, a dock is a dock in Mac, a taskbar is what it's called in Windows. So A lot of the same things can happen between both. Some have different functionalities than the other. One does. One has some benefits the other may not have. The part I love about Office 365 is Teams and Class Notebook, and the other part is the learning tools. So those are the pieces that I absolutely love, especially the immersive reader. And so we talked about that. And then we talked about how the apps, how they kind of compared. Your mail is Outlook, and it's Mail and Google. Your calendar is going to be your calendar. Slides is PowerPoint. We talked about all of that, how the apps compare, and I gave this little comparison. And for those of you who have been to my sessions and those that you have, the first time as I started this, people would email me for a copy of the slides. The second time, the next few rounds, I did a form. I've changed it because it's way too complicated for everybody to keep up, especially me, which isn't fair to you. So now I give you at the end a link to my OneDrive, where you have a folder where you can download all the presentations as PDFs, and you're not waiting on me. So as soon as we leave today, you'll have that folder just like that, and you can get in there. And I think I uploaded this one already. If not, I'll do it as soon as we're done. So we have OneDrive and Google Drive, Outlook, Gmail. I just had a comparison chart for everybody so they can understand the words. And we talked about getting ready to move, getting your computer ready, your email and your files, what's moving, where is it coming from, those kinds of things, and your calendar. We talked about the importance of talking with your IT staff to see what's being transitioned for you and what you need to do yourself. So all of that's in that first round. And then when you get time that it's moving time, be thinking about when to do what and chunk it. Pick it little pieces, don't be overwhelmed. So start with the basics, slow and easy. What are you going to clean up? What are you going to move? And clean house. So the differentiators that I've already mentioned with Microsoft, if you're coming from the Google world, are, I think, these three things. Teams is a perfect environment for working. Moving files is in session 1, Jason. And Teams is a perfect environment for working and being collaborative with your classes and having different teams for different classes. Also for you and your fellow colleagues, for PLCs or for a staff notebook even. So Teams is a biggie. Class Notebook is awesome with Teams, and we'll talk about it and what it is and how it works. And Immersive Reader, anytime you see this icon, and Microsoft has it hiding everywhere, it is the most powerful tool. It can read to you, it can do syllabication, it can show parts of speech, and it can do translations. So always look for that if those are things of interest to you. And then we're going to get started with Teams. So that's what we're going to start now. So that was kind of our intro. 1 was moving your files, thinking about the transitions, showing you the comparisons. 2 was working a lot in OneNote notebook, so you'd understand how that works and what a OneNote notebook is, which is like a 3-ring binder or a trapper keeper. And inside your trapper keeper, or your binder, you had those rings, and they always got sprung or pinched your fingers. And then you had the cardboard or cardstock type of manila colored tabs with the little, dividers with the colored tabs on them, and that's your sections in your notebook, and then you have pages. So we talked about here, it really is a digital notebook and the beauties of it. And we're not going live yet, I'm just showing you this. So just relax and sit back and get the big picture, and then we're going to go live. So don't worry about going live right now. So we're going to log into your Office account in a minute. We're going to log into the app launcher, all those kinds of things. And then for the portal page, we'll click on Teams. And so then we're going to create our team, PLC, staff members, whatever team you need. So we'll have that going on. We'll also, and here's the different types of teams you can have. And then we'll give each team a name. So with the team name, that's going to be different for what your content area is or what you are doing this for, what organization. So I'll show you that in a little bit as well. And then we're going to add our members. So we can add students ourselves. And one of the things a lot of your districts may be doing for you is using the school data sync, which will pull your roster into every class in your student information system scheduled for you. And that makes it so much easier as they can even help you add all the teams. They can help you populate all the teams. So that's a big conversation to have with your IT staff before school starts. What's the process? What are you doing as a district? to support teams and then populating the classes. Are you making teams for us? Do I need to make the teams? Are you adding all the students to each one? Are you doing it the way that makes sense for me? And can we have that conversation? And just getting that information so you'll know what pieces are your pieces and what pieces they're doing for you, so you'll know where you to start. And you can have extra teachers. You can add a co-collaborator or co-teacher, and they can have the same kind of capabilities you do, or they can have, just more of an assistant kind of role as well. We'll look at channels and talk about what channels are, and then we can put items on our, on our teams, on our channels, and our team pages with tabs. So if we have something specific we want them to look at, we can put a tab there. And we'll talk about different things like conversations and what a conversation is and what that means in the world of threads. And then another great idea is this is your PLC team. So using this for PLC teams, a lot of districts are using teams for staff notebooks, and instead of passing out all the faculty rules and regulations and they change, everything's shared through a staff notebook. So lots of ways you can really reduce paper and make it really easy to have the latest information distributed to people, and that is through a team. And you can schedule live meetings like the one today. So you can schedule those through Teams as well. And so really an awesome way to do your work. And Microsoft just announced a bunch of new changes where they have different kinds of ways you can look at the screen on the meeting. So if you have a video meeting, because they're going to have like the whole group meeting, like you're sitting in class together. If you want to do that one day, and they have different backgrounds where we're all in different places, but we're all together like in one room, is what it looks like. They also have a new one coming out that gives you a little more focus on how you control your presentation and have other things like the presenters on the side. They have a lot of different changes that were announced. So if you just do a search for what's new with Microsoft Teams news announcement, it's out there. And it's really some great changes are ahead. A lot of the work that they're doing to really make this dynamic for teachers and for students in this world of distance education. And some of it really applies to the workforce too, as they're working remotely as well. And then we have a planner. The planner is here as well. So this is and the planner is actually going to be integrated with more tools as well in the near future. So the planner is where you can have task names and due dates and add an assignment and things to keep yourself and your kids on track. And this is the staff notebook, how it could be used with like scenarios, different rules and different things. Lots of different examples here you could use for a staff notebook. And so we're just the classroom experiences in Microsoft Teams and how awesome they are. When you get this, there'll be a link to the video. If there's not, let me know and I'll add the link somewhere for you. So, but there's a video you can look at. And this is kind of the workflow. You can share things just like you have before in OneDrive or in Google Drive or whatever you did to be able to share files and materials. You'll be able to make announcements. And so if you think about if you were in Classroom in Google, it's like the Classroom, the Google announcements, only it's a little bit more on steroids. It has even more capabilities. You can put students in project groups and monitor progress, which is awesome. I know that Google's starting to do that, but Microsoft's already been doing that. And within those project groups, you can even have them have their own video meetings going on while you're supervising them and dropping in and out, and they can, as a team or a group, be having their own team meetings up to a maximum, I think, 4 connections or something like that, maybe 5. And then you can create and distribute and grade quizzes and announcements and materials and assignments, all those things. So this is kind of the workflow that the two work together. So when you work with Class Notebook and Teams together, it's really the perfect solution. And so this is kind of an example of maybe how you might divide something into channels. So channels are what we call groups, what you might put in as groups. It could be a unit of study, it could be a group 1, group 2, group 3. But this one, they're putting, different kinds of things into different organizational units. And so you can do lots of different things with that. And then within those channels, you can share files as well. So those are just some screenshots. These will be great for your review. Just kind of looking through some of these afterwards. You'll have these to look at, the way you can distribute and create assignments and distribute them. I think it'll be good for you just to have this to reflect back on. I could go through each one of these like this, but I thought it might be more beneficial in some ways to go through these and show them to you live. Here are some of the additional apps you can add in as some of those tabs we talked about at the top of a channel. So if you have a channel, you can add different things to it. So you might have something you use like in science class, you might have some kind of a OneNote or a Word document that's a template they always use for the science. And so that could be there, or something you've given them in specific, like a Hootsuite or something. So lots of ways to add things up there as well. Maybe a PowerPoint you want them to look at. And then we've looked at our conversations. So we're going to explore now. So this is the point where I'm going to back out of my presentation and move it to the side. What I recommend for you is now this is where you'll want to maybe open a browser window. So I suggest I'm going to give you a second just to kind of, if I can move my things, give you a second just to get your browser window opened and to get it on one side while you get the other thing on the other side, and then you'll be set to go. I'm going to give you just a second. Get this already here. Alrighty, I think I'm good here. Let me just get all my monitors right. Okay, got that. Got it. Okay, so now I'm going to go up to my Teams and pull it up full screen. And it's going to show a lot of different things till I back out of it. So to get to Teams, and let me just go here first and get you in my dashboard. To get to Teams, the best way you can do it a couple different ways. Let me pull this up first. And this is Office 365. So this is Office 365. When you just go to office.com and log in, you'll see all the different apps you have. You have Teams right here where you can access it here. There's more than one way to get to everything in Office, just like there was in Google. So you have your grid or your app launcher right here. And when you go there, you can pull down to Teams right here. Or you can go to teams.microsoft.com. And Teams can also be a desktop app. Now, I recommend that you always have your kids in the cloud, start in the cloud. And you may want to always work in the cloud too, but always have your kids start in the cloud. What do I mean by that? Have them go to office.com and sign in that way, or their school portal. However they get in, work in the cloud and not on a desktop. And with a lot of you, they may have something that there's like you're using a Chromebook or something with Office, and so they don't have really have desktop apps. For those of you who are teachers and have a full desktop, you can also get the OneNote app, the OneNote desktop app. And so you can install Office this way, but you can also just go search and get the OneNote app, desktop app as well. So you have up to 5 licenses you can use of Microsoft on personal things in most school accounts. It depends on your school licensing, but most districts and schools have the type that you have additional licenses to use. But you'll want to go to Teams. So that's the main thing. I'm going to pop out of that so you don't have to watch me sign in. And I'm going to go back to my Teams. And then when I sign into Teams, this is actually my desktop app, but it doesn't matter if you're in the browser app or the desktop. Either way, you're going to see a dashboard. You may not have anything on your dashboard yet, but if you do have something on your dashboard, then this is what you'll see. And so as you're thinking about setting up your Teams for your classes, and I'm going to peek and see how many of us are here because this may make a difference. We don't have that many. So you know what we're going to do? I'm going to give you a code in a second. Let you join my team. So when you're thinking about this dashboard, I'm going to move this around. It makes sense. You can create these in different ways. If you teach 4 or 5 sections of different classes, you have 4 or 5 classes, or the librarian who's teaching 16 classes, that I talked to earlier today. You would want a team for each class. You would want to make one for each class. If you're an elementary teacher, you would want to do something like have a main team if you're a self-contained classroom. I was Mrs. Reed's Rabbits 100 years ago when I taught second grade. Here's Isabel. She's been in some of our sessions. She's a third grade teacher, so she probably wouldn't call it Isabel. She'd call it Miss or Mrs. whatever. But that would be her third grade class. And then the kids could also have teams for maybe they have STEM or maybe they have art or music or library or something that they would have teams for. So you set these up what makes sense for you. And so I'm actually going to show you to join or create a team. You go up here at the top right. Let me go back. Top right. And I'm going to show you in a second. I'm going to let you join a team with me. And then I'll walk you through that. Top right says join or create a team. We're going to create a team or join one here. I'm going to give you a code. I'm going to let you join my team since there are that many of you and see if I can do it really quickly live, which I don't often do. But because there's not that many, let me see if I go to manage team and I'll tell you what I did in a second. Let me just get the code, generate a code, and then you'll be able. All right. Join my team right now with that. Let's see if you can join my team. So you're at teams, you're at your teams, and at the top right says join or create a team, and the second square says join with a code. And let's see if it'll work. If it doesn't, we'll move on. But let's see if we can get you in there, just so you'll see how it looks as a student. I like for you to see what it looks like as a student as well as a teacher. Lots of times when I do trainings, I do it that way. So like I said, hopefully the district will help you or the school will help populate some of these with you, with your students and your teams. So it'll populate really easily. And talking about that workflow with that district IT group would be the best way to do it and find out what you need to do in advance and what you don't need to do. So I'm going to cross out of this and let's go look at my team. I want to see if anybody's been able to join it. I'm going to manage my team. Here's my team. I've clicked on the three dots. I don't see anybody here. So were you having trouble joining it or was it working? Doesn't work. Okay, Marilyn. I don't know why it doesn't work. Probably because you're not in my tenant. And so what is the tenant? The tenant is, for example, in Google, you had your school district Google account. And everybody had their own OneDrive. They had their own, within OneDrive, they had PowerPoints and all those different tools. Well, in Microsoft, instead of having the big Google infrastructure surrounding your district, this is called a tenant. So your district has a Microsoft tenant. And that tenant is sometimes restrictive and that not everyone can join your session. I would have assumed you could have because you would come in as a guest. And I could try to add you manually, but I don't want to take the time to do that. But in your tenant, you can use, if you're in your tenant with your students, you'll be able to use that class code. And so you won't have to if they don't populate it for you, you'll know how to do that because I'm going to show you that. So let me walk you through what a team is, and you can go on and create one now if you want to. So since the joining didn't work, go up here. We're going to let you create a team. And create a team, and this top square at the left says create team. Now I'm going to walk you through what all of this is so that you'll be able to also do your team. I'll make it a little bit bigger for a little bit. So with Class Notebook, that is what you would use for students. A PLC would be, maybe you have a PLC for a topic that you're working on within the school district. Maybe you're doing a PLC around your accreditation coming up in science, or maybe you have a PLC for science teachers, or maybe you have a PLC around the professional learning groups, or however you break into groups that are working groups. Staff would be the administration, and then you can do it for other things as well. So for now, just do class. We're setting up a team first, and then we'll do the class notebook second. So here's our team. Think about your class name. What will you call it? So I'm going to call this Microsoft Together class because I already have something else like practice class and I have a transition because I had a couple samples ready in case it doesn't work. So that's okay that it didn't work. So you're going to create a team now where you went to join. It didn't work because of the tenant restrictions. I just want you to go up and create a team. And in that team, click class team and then name it. And this can be a practice one or it can be a real one. It's up to you. Sometimes it's good to find a colleague and practice letting each other be, you be my student, I'll be yours, and we'll play together on this and see how it works. But whatever you're ready for. And so you can give it a description, practice team for, what is the date today? It's getting later all the time, 7/9. How does that? I don't know where June went, and here we are past the first week of July. And I want to have it be searchable. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just going to leave it, but you can explore those settings and see. I can use an existing team. So if I make one and I like the way it's set up, I can use it as a template, or I can just go on to next. So for now, we'll go to next. And it takes just a second and it'll create your team. So this is where you can add students. So I could be adding a co-teacher here. So if I wanted to add a co-teacher, and when your tenant is set up, if it's already set up, once you start looking for people, you'll find other people, you'll find the people right there in your tenant will populate, just like your students will populate. And so I can add that one as a teacher. So I can have a co-teacher. I could also add students now. She's a guest, so since I'm a guest and not in the MIE trainer, it won't let me do anything but a guest. But now I can search for students, so I can look for Julene student 2. These are just fake accounts, and I can add her, and I can keep going. So I can add it this way with my rosters. And if you're a self-contained classroom, that wouldn't take you that long, 5 minutes maybe. But if you're one that teaches, like the librarian, 16 classes on 2 different campuses, that's a bit of work. And that's why you want to track and see what's going to be populated for you and what's not. And then you just close it. So that's how you add to your class. So now if I go back and here's my team, and remember I was at my dashboard a while ago. Now if I go down here in my dashboard, this is the team we just made, the Microsoft Together class. I can change, let me move this. I can change this. I can edit this little icon, and I can make it any picture or avatar I want. So you just can add that later. It doesn't have to be one from here. It can be one that you upload yourself of your dog or whoever you want. It can be something around your subject matter. So whatever you want for your icon is fine. And then you just update it at the bottom. And sometimes it kind of gets hung. That was really good. It did well today. Earlier today, it got hung when I was doing one. And you can go on, upload materials and have help and training here. So now you've made your first team and you know how to add people to it. And you know how to change your avatar. Any questions before I go any farther? I'm watching the chat.
I had a quick question.
Sure.
So once the director of technology or whomever uploads the rosters into the system, once that push happens, is there some type of, and I'm just used to working with other systems, which is why I'm asking, is there some type of approval that will need to happen as we add students, and will it take 24 hours for it to calibrate before
there shouldn't be. Great question, but there shouldn't be. If they're already in the system, it shouldn't take any time. The problem was you weren't in my tenant, and I don't know why it wouldn't let you come in as a guest, but evidently the code only works within your tenant. Now, if I sat here and typed all your names in, like I just did a minute ago, then it would have worked. You'd all come in as guests. But it won't. I learned something today. You can't use a code with guests. The code will only work within your tenant, and you have to manually add the guests. And I'm sure that's a security issue. Sure. That they don't want people to accidentally be able to join with a code that are outside the tenant.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you shouldn't have to wait for that to populate. You know, once that 24 hours you sometimes do between, you know, when you first put them in the system, like when they first add the student to the tenant, you might have to wait 24 hours after that.
Okay.
Google will say wait 24 hours and then it pops in an hour later. You never know. Microsoft's is probably the same.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
yeah. All righty.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Jason's concerned the mobility of students between classes or from virtual to face and back and losing the information. No, notebooks do travel with the student. The notebook is going to be, as a student logs in, Jason, the notebook will have they'll log in with their credentials into office.com or their portal. And when they log into their portal and they go to Teams, they're going to see, if they click here, all the teams I have. This is the student dashboard too. So a student would be seeing, ninth grade math, ninth grade science, advisory group, whatever you have, that was what they would see. So going from class to class isn't going to matter. It doesn't matter what computer they're using. Wherever they are at any time, if they log into their tenant, if they log into their account, their email account and their Microsoft account and go to Teams through Office 365 or however they get there, they're going to see their classes right here. Doesn't matter where they are. So they travel with the student. They are the student. They are with the student. So I hope that helps. Jason's typing. I'm waiting to see if I understood his question right. Good. Yeah, all the materials will be there. No. Yeah, if they move to third block, it doesn't matter what block they're in. It's all by their class. So if this is AP Science and this is AP Literature and this is World History, it doesn't matter what class I'm in. I can go right back to my team. Like right now, I'm in this practice team. And then I can go back and go to all my teams. And now I can see, there's my transitioning to teams. That would be these would be all my different sciences. Classes. Here's my environmental science class. And every time I go, I will have my team. Same with deep breath. Same with my notebooks. I'll have a different notebook for each class with my materials, which is not hard. They're used to, it's really easy. It would be like having those little spiral bound notebooks, how you get one for science. It had to be, wide ruled, 300 pages. And then and it was pink. And then you had a blue one for something else. It'd be like all those different notebooks, except you're actually having different digital notebooks. And they're much more, I can't think of the word, robust. Robust is a good word. So we've made a team. So here's your team. This is our Together class that we've been working in. And I don't know why I can't get this to go away. Maybe I can get it going now. No, it makes my whole team go away, so whatever. So usually it goes to the bottom and it won't do that. So anyway, so I have my class. And so this is what a team looks like. And I want to get through this and explain this to you so I can get the class notebook, but this is all a big piece of everything. And one thing that's really important besides having kids always start in the cloud is that you want, as a teacher, don't go making a class notebook or OneNote notebook that you think you're going to use in a team. It's a one-way street. Always start with Teams. Even if you're not going to use Teams that much, always start with Teams and it will generate the class notebook for you. Because if you don't start with Teams, you can't push a class notebook into a team. It just doesn't work that way. Not yet. It may someday, but right now to have the class notebook and the teams work together, you have to start with Teams and then create the class notebook within the team. So here's what we see. When we're in team, we have activity right here, different things that are going on. Here's chat. So there's all kinds of chats going on from different teams I have. Here's if I click once, I'm back to the same team I'm in. If I click another time, I'm back to my dashboard. So I have all these different teams and I can move these around. So I could actually get this up by that. So it makes more sense today. I don't have to be going everywhere. I have assignments. I can look at all the assignments coming up here. I would have my calendar, and this is how you can also join things. So as you can schedule meetings right here at the top right. And let's see if I can get rid of this over here. I had Jason. There we go. We can schedule meetings at the top right, and then we can, within those meetings that we create, it will generate a video team as well, a video meet as well. So just a regular calendar kind of scheduling. That's one way to schedule your meetings, and then it will show up here and you would say join. Your calls are here, files, you can have files right here. These are files that are accessible through all of your teams, not just one team, but these are my files from all my teams. And there's even more down here. So I can put my planner over here if I wanted to. And if I right click it, I mean, it's pinned, but if I want out of there, I can unpin it. And there are some apps down here too that I can add. So I can add some different apps over here on the left side if I wanted to. So that's pretty much how the left side menu works. And there's lots of resources out there. I've done a session just on Teams, and we'll be doing more sessions. So you can always go through those recordings and find one they'll tell you more. Plus, it's awesome, you know, to just do a search and find all kinds of resources. I mean, all kinds of resources. And so now I have I'm in general, and general just means the general team. This goes to everybody. So the general team is like, if you're doing something here, a friend of mine, Lori Carey, says it's like shouting to the room. You're talking to the whole group. So that's your general team. And you can post things down here to everyone. And this is your conversation place. So it's like if you were using Class Notebook, it's like your announcements on Class Notebook. It's just a stream of announcements. And people can reply, and you have the permission. You can set students permissions to post or not post, to reply or not reply. So you can set all of that. And when you do this, you can do an @ mention. So I can say @Julene R, because I'm a member. That was one of the people I added to my class. And then I can say, be sure bring snacks on Friday. And so that goes to Julene. So she knows she has to bring the snacks tomorrow. And that's me. And then I can also, you know, do some formatting and make an attachment down here at the bottom. I don't know if I can make this bigger for you. Yeah, I can. So I can format an attachment. I can turn these things on and off. So if you can add a happy note, an emoji, some kind of emoji right here if you want to, and smile. There we go. I didn't mean to give you a kiss, but I think I just did. And then we have animated GIFs, so you can search for all kinds of animated GIFs, and you can put those on there. You don't have to have these available for your kids. This is just options if you want them. And then you also have some other kinds of stickers. And so you can be searching for stickers. So we'll just look for something summary. There's a summer picture, and put that up there. So you can put all different kinds of things there for fun. This is Stream. So that's like Microsoft's version of YouTube. And you can also do, so you'll know, in Stream, you can make screen recordings for your students. You can put praise here. You can put a YouTube video if you want to put a video here, and then tell them, watch this video and be prepared for the first 5 minutes of class. Watch this video and be prepared to discuss it when we start. So they come in, they log in, they look in general. I need to start watching this video. They watch it and discuss it later. So you can access YouTube here. You can take a quick poll. So I could ask you a quick question. And with this poll, then I just, it could be about last night's reading. It could be about something I just taught. It could be like, how are you feeling today? And doing that social emotional check-in. And so that's an option right there. And then anytime in Microsoft, when you see 3 dots, that means there's even more. So right now I could add a form right here within this conversation. We could do a quick Microsoft form. And there's some other things I can do here as well. And there's even more apps. Every time you see that, then there's even more apps that will take you to the app stores, apps that you can search for. Now, whether your kids have access to that or not is how the tenant has been set up. And I can go over here, and that's just my send. But anyway, you have all of these different options right here. I can also go up here and immediately start a team meeting. I could say meet now. And I can either schedule a meeting for this class right here, instead of it just doing it in the calendar. I can schedule it right here, and it'll take me to my calendar, or I can say meet right now. So for classes getting ready to start, just click meet now and it pops up in their team and everybody's meeting with me. I want to do it now because I'm already in a meeting. And then you just have some other things over here, manage channel, get email addresses, things like that, but you can look at. Notifications are over here. So you can decide what you want to get notifications on and what you don't. So that's pretty much Teams, but there is one more thing. If I go back to Teams and just go make sure I'm in the general, there we go. And I think it's because I'm too big. Let me get a little again. There we go. That's what I want to see. So the other thing I can do is these three dots next to my team. If you will right click on those, or I think you can just click on it. Yeah. When you click on those three dots, and I wish I could get this bigger. It's not playing well, but there we go. At the top, you can manage the team. I'm going to take you through that. You can add a channel. You can add members if you didn't get one added before. You can leave a team if somebody invites you to one as a practice. You want to leave it, you can. You can edit it. You can get a link. You can tag it, and you can delete the whole team here. So let's all go to manage team right here. That was the way I got that. Was right here on my team. These three dots. I click that and I go to manage team. And when that pops up, here's my members, where I can add my members. I can have co-owners here. I can have members and guests here. So this would be people that I've added to my team, including my students. So this is where my students would be listed. You can add guests. If you're having a guest speaker or something, you can add guests to a team and then take them off again later. And then we don't have any channels yet because we haven't talked about those, but we're going to. Settings. So here's where I have a lot of different things. I can have a team theme, so I can change the theme. That's our little icon. Here's where I can change member permissions, guest permissions, and give them different permissions, add permissions if I can use that @ sign in the conversation. Here was that team code where you can generate your team code. Here's where you can turn off and on emojis, memes, GIFs, and stickers. And other things here that you can look at later. And then your apps, and then what is the other one here? Oh, analytics. So I'm just going to go back, though, and click back on my team again and go to general. But just know you got there by these three right here, those three dots. And I'm going to talk to you about channels. So under general, one way you can use channels is for group work, which is awesome. So maybe you're dividing your students into groups on, and we're going to add a channel. And maybe the topics in our class are, we're going to be working on, I don't know, we'll just make I always end up with environmental science of some kind. So extreme weather. So we'll do weather, tornadoes. This group, and this is going to be group 1. There we go. Let me copy it so I don't have to paste it every time. I'll make it faster. Weather, tornadoes. I can put information here if I want. It can show the channel and all the students' channels and everybody's on their channel list, or it can be hidden. So I can automatically show it if I want to. Is it accessible to everyone? Or am I going to make it a group? And if I'm making it a group, it's going to take me to next, adding the channel. And now I pick which students are going to be in this group. So let's say Julene student 1 and Julene student 3 are going to be in this group. And I add it. And I can add that later. I don't have to do it now. I'm not a member. Too bad. Let me try that one. Well, you get the point. So that's because I didn't add me to begin with to the class. So there's one group. Now I can click this again, and I can add a channel. Add another channel, and I'm going to call this one hurricanes. This is group 2. So you get the idea. I'm not going to keep going through this, but now you can have different groups that you've created, and these are channels. And so the channels, when you're in the channels, you can allow them to, I don't know why I locked that one. Let me see if I can manage a channel. It shouldn't be locked. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Settings. Well, we're not going to worry about right now, but there's a channel that's locked because it's a group. I think the lock is just the group. I didn't add any to this. This is whole class channel. This is a group channel. That's the difference with the lock. So if I do it with a lock, only certain people can see it, get into it. And you have to be that student to get into it. Other students will see it, but it'll say it's locked. This one, everyone can get into. So if you want them to see each other's groups, that's fine. If not, they would show the lock for the one that they're not a part of. So what's nice about channels besides group work and that they can now work and chat collaboratively if you want, you can even launch a video meet for each channel and they can be meeting as a group and you can toggle back and forth and see them all meeting and talking. You can also give them individual posts. So I could have a conversation here that's just about tornado information, tornado group. Here is your blah, blah, blah. And you could give them information there. You could give them attachments. You could do things like that. I can also give that group files that only that group will see. So if I wanted to upload a file about tornadoes or a file I want them to use or get them, something else here or create a document for them, I can give it just to that group. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility when you're in channels. And the other thing, I think that's about it. You can add a few other, apps to it. But this is how you would organize your groups for projects, which is awesome. So that's pretty much really fast about Teams, because now I'm going to go into Class Notebook. That's our next part. Any questions about Teams? Do you have students close channels after you moved on to a new unit or change groups? Well, the students don't create them. They can't close them. You can close them, and you can just delete them. Yeah, if you don't want it anymore, like I don't want this one anymore, I can say delete this channel and I'll say, are you sure you want to delete it? And I'll say, yep, gone. So now that channel's gone. So you can close them. My team made a web app that has an EDU class notebook. That's a class notebook. Awesome. Cool. Alrighty. So I'd love to hear more about that, but not right now. So I want to go on now. Any other questions before I go on to class notebook? All righty, we're going to move on. So I'm going to go back to general here. And in my general class, let me see. Well, I don't know why it's not showing. I need to get little again. Let me get little. There we go. I think it'll be a little bit bigger, maybe one more. There we go. So across the top, we talked about all of this. I want to look at assignments really quickly. So you have assignments. And in assignments, you can do all your assignments here. So if you were using Google Classroom before, this is your new Google Classroom. You can use existing ones that you maybe have archived or used in another class. You can do a quiz. Right here, you can make a quiz real fast, or you can make an assignment. And so when you're in an assignment, you would just do something like next school year. I had made one earlier for you as a practice. I can show you. And I can add a category if I want. So that's like tagging it for something if I want to tag it. And then I would give their instructions, telling them exactly what to do. I could add links to it. And here's the cool part. When I add resources, I have all these options. So I can look at my OneDrive and I might find something in here that I want to add, like earlier, there's some PowerPoints I want to add. Or there might be something else I want to add here. So I could look at all these different documents and see if there's something I'd like to add from my OneDrive. I can upload it from my computer. I can go to Class Notebook and find it. I have links I can add. I can do make code, but look, or other teams. But look, right here, a new file, I can make it right here. I don't have to pre-create it. Just like, I can just decide I want to make the document here, a PowerPoint or an Excel as a template or the first document they're going to take. So let's say I'm going to rename this differently. What is the most important thing you learned about your thing? Okay, well, that's when it's going to be short. Okay, let's see. We'll call it weather facts and information. This is weather fact information document, so it's had to be short. But what I can do here in the instructions is say, what is the most important thing? And so we'll call this weather instead. We'll just call it weather. Whoa, backwards. I love it when it does that. There. And now it's doing it all the time. Really. We're just going to call it W because it's gone nuts. All right, so weather. So do I want to have points? I can add 100 points to this. They're going to do it. I can add a rubric. And I can add other resources. I can make a rubric right here. I actually made one today just for fun. They're super easy. You just say new rubric and you can add it just like this, like any other rubric, and it's super easy to make. But I'm going to go on, I'm going to add a rubric that I've already made, and it's just called reflective writing. Say next. And this is what I ended up doing: content, grammar, spelling, but you would make it pertinent to what you're actually doing. And I gave you a little description. So I've attached a rubric and due dates, times. I can save it for later. I can assign it. I can assign it to the general channel, or if I need to edit that to a specific channel, I can do that. And the other cool thing is I can do it to all my several sections at one time. I can assign this to multiple sections. And I can assign to all students or just to certain students. If I'd rather assign to certain students, I can do it that way too. I'm going to assign it and create my assignment. Oh, that's create for anyone, sorry. So I've assigned it, it's now in the assignment. When I look back here, W is due tomorrow. There's the assignment. I can edit if I need to. And what's really nice is I can go through here and assess it all at the same time. So if I go back to, let me look at which one I was playing it today, getting ready for you. I think it was, this one has students in it. And so if in the assignments here, I put some students in it. Nope, it's the other one. Maybe it's this one. Let's look at this. I think I have, yeah, that one. I had an assignment in here. And so if I'm in assignments, it's really easy for me to go through here now, look at this assignment, and I can quickly look, okay, here's one student, they're not turned in, but as they turn in their work, and I want to look at their work, and I want to, I can go through one student at a time. I can see what the student saw. I can edit the assignment, all these different things in this one little window. So it's really nice because when I view the assignment, just like you did if you're in another kind of platform, it will, instead of having to go this way, I can open one, and then right here, I can toggle back and forth between my students. And it will toggle back and forth and show me their document. I have my rubric right here, where I can mark their rubric and say they got 4, 3, and 2, and done. And so it's already taken that rubric. The student would have the rubric. They got 75 out of 100 points. And I can give them feedback here. Here's that immersive reader I talked about. I can even go in and edit the document and leave feedback right there on the document, either with annotation or with text or audio. So I'm going to close that, and that's your assignment. So next, the last part we're going to get into here is all about class notebook. And I'm going to go back to setting up class notebook in this one. Doesn't really matter, just so you can see the process. So questions about this? Any questions about assignments or teams? Jason's typing, so I'm going to give him a second. Good so far, awesome. All right, so take a breath. Now, when I talk to you about class notebooks, class notebook, if you really are making a real one right now, don't make your class notebook right now. It's easy to add your students later, or just let this be for play, but you can do it for play and share it with a teacher or colleague and be playing back and forth with it. But I would add them first. The best workflow is to have your kids in your team already, and then to go make your class notebook. That's the best workflow. If, however, You have to do that backwards. You know, what you'll do is you can make your class notebook and your kids won't be in there, and then you'll have to open up the class notebook, which I'll show you, and add students there. But always, always start in teams and generate the class notebook from here. That's your workflow. So I'm in my team, and I could be, actually, I can go back to the one we did together, Microsoft Together class. So there's our team. And this has our assignment popped up here in the general conversation. So now I know there's an assignment. All the students would see, oh, I got an assignment here. It would then populate with the due date and all of that. So Carolyn has students waiting for activation. Do you have to wait to set up your notebook? You know what? See if they show up. If they show up when you make your team, if they show up when you do your team, if they're in your team, then the class notebook's okay to make. It'll be okay to make. So up here is class notebook. So what you're going to do, and if you haven't learned about OneNote, go watch OneNote Wonders, my video from last week, and I think I'm doing it again. Look at the schedule, but I'm not sure when. So what you'll want to do is go look at OneNote Wonders from last week or somebody else's OneNote. Doesn't have to be mine. See if there's another, I know there are other recordings on OneNote, and get where you understand OneNote. Because what we're doing now is we're making a OneNote notebook for us to use with our kids and for all the kids to have. They're all going to have their own OneNote notebook, their own 3-ring digital binder. 3-ring binder, the manila tabs with the little section colors that said this one's science, this one's spelling, this one's math. We're making that for all of our students. And that's the power of this, is as I'm making this for my students, I can just go one student after another and review their work. At any page of their notebook, I can look at it real fast. If I want to look at their whole notebook, I can go through and toggle through their whole notebook. I can leave them as feedback. I can annotate on their documents, comment on their documents, and it's super easy to push out assignments. I can push things out to them. I can push out new sections. We're probably going to be 5 minutes over, I'll just warn you, but here we go. Set up a one class notebook. I can use an existing one, or I can start from a blank notebook. And this is going to tell you of a collaboration space. This can be turned on or off. At the beginning, you may want it off, and that's just a setting. So do you want your collaboration space open, or do you want it closed? And that's where everyone can edit and collaborate together. So until they have some norms set, it could get a little messy. So you just need to make sure you're ready for that. Content library, this is where you keep content that you want them to access, but they cannot edit it. They can copy it to their notebook, but they can't edit it. And then they each will get a student notebook. And in that notebook, you can edit it, you can view it, they can edit it, they can add to it, but they can't view each other's. And then I go to next. And here's where I make those cute little colored tabs. What do I want my tabs to be? Do I want to be spelling, math, science? Do I want to be handouts, class note, homework? I can change anything I want to maybe this is tests instead of quizzes. I can delete them and I can add more sections. And then I just create it. So create, and you can go back and add more later. So maybe you're doing a section on Unit 1 of study, and then later you're going to push out a section for Unit 2. So every section doesn't have to be done at the beginning. You just have to think through your workflow and what's going to work for you. Here's my class notebook. When I click this little icon here, it expands. This is just blank text just generic text to help you understand what's here. So you can read through it. You can delete that page or just delete the text. Here is another page on class notebook with all kinds of resources for you. So you can learn more about just by going here, and they'll tell you, how to get started with OneNote, how to get started with class notebook. Here's that collaboration space I talked about. Here's a document on using it. So this is one of the sections here. These are my different sections going down the side, my tabs, and then I can put subsections. Here's the content library. This is where I would have information in the content library. This is me. Oh, that's actually a student. It's me, a student. Here's me, a student again, and me, a student again. So as students, this would be like student 1, student 2, student 3, all these different students, but notice they all have the same things. I don't know why they came out in different orders, but I can easily just drag that one up and make that students look like everybody else's. So those are the tabs I put are the sections. And so each student's notebook is right here. And that's the beauty of it. I can toggle through and see all Julene student 2's tests. I can see Julene 2 student class notes. I can go through all their work right here, which is awesome. And then if I want to add more sections, more tabs for me, or just in general for me, I can do that here. Especially in the content library, I might decide I would probably right click or something or add a section here and call it what I want to, and it would just go in there. So that's the sections. These are the pages. So in my content library, let's say I'm going to do something and I want to add a section to the content library. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to make a new section in the content library called Extreme Weather, because that's what we're studying. Okay, and I'm gonna put that there. There's my Extreme Weather section. And I can even put a page here that says, and when I have a page, it's like OneNote. I have to type the title over here for it. And I'm gonna call this one Research Facts. Maybe I'm making a fact sheet for all of them of some kind. What's nice about the content library, about the class notebook, is up here now, when I go across the top, I have all these things like I usually do in a Word document or a OneNote notebook, and I can open in my browser. If I open it in my browser, it gives me more real estate. It'll be bigger because I'm kind of inside of my team right now. So if I want more space, I open it in the browser. It's the same class notebook. But I go to class notebook here, and this is the beauty. I can distribute a page, and I can distribute a page to everybody, to a group or an individual, and I can distribute it to multiple notebooks. I can also delete pages that way. I can distribute a section. So I can distribute a section like extreme weather. And when I click on that, and why didn't it show it? It should have been right here. Okay, we'll just do it this way. Extreme weather. It should have shown this section from there, but maybe I didn't click on it. But there we go. It's going to distribute, distributing. It's distributed. Now, what I've learned is, and we'll see if I'm right, it won't show here until I come out of here and go, well, let's go back to post or somewhere. Now let's go to class notebook and let it refresh that way. And now when it refreshes and I go here, every student should have extreme weather now. So I just pushed a section out. And I can push out content. I don't know why I didn't do the whole thing because it should have just done. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't do that. But we can extract, well, then we can take this page, a page that we might have made here, and I can go to class notebook again, and I can distribute that page to them. So I'm going to distribute the page. Here it goes. It's in extreme. I want to go in extreme weather. I tell it where to go, and it distributes that page to them. And then when I'm reviewing student work, the beauty is when I review that work, that page is still going. Don't do this right before class. Give yourself time. And then when I review student work, I can just go back here and I want to look at extreme weather, and I want to look at this page here, research facts. And then what's going to happen, I can start looking at, okay, here's this person's research facts, here's this person's research facts, this person's, and I can annotate and comment on all of those. So that's the beauty. The last thing I want to show you here is across the top, it says Manage Notebooks. I can add sections this way too if I want to. This is how I can add a teacher only section, which is awesome. And so here's the teacher only section. And Marilyn, I'll put that in there. I saw you had to leave. So now, and I can lock the collaboration space. So now when I close this, I have one more section in my notebook that's only teacher. So I can be building all kinds of resources there, and it's only for teachers. And I can be adding sections of content there and pushing out. Nobody can see it but me. And so that's the teacher only section, and we got there by being in class notebook and going over to manage notebooks. Alrighty, that was a lot. So let me take you back to the closing with your link to get the recording. And I have tons of resources right here for you in this list. Let me show you also one thing really quickly. To see the kind of work that can be done, there are links in this presentation that take you and show you all kinds of examples. So if you open the notebooks in this presentation, you'll get all kinds of examples that you can use, lesson plans, and you'll see some real life examples of how this can be used in different content areas. So I love these resources because it really gives you some great ideas. So be sure you open the links that I'm going to show you and you'll see what they are. So now if I go back here, and I'm going to make this full screen. And we finish this up real quickly, then we'll be good to go. So the two together, G Suite and Office, we did all that. Let me see where we are. I need to go down. I should. Guys, you don't get dizzy. Here it comes. So the last little sections, in fact, I'm just going to back out of it so you can see it. The last sections are more slides to kind of take you through as a review. And then you have ideas and examples, and ideas and examples. This is the ones that you have. Some more ideas and examples. These are the links I was sharing with you. You have some resources right here. Vocabulary, but then if you keep going down, there you go. There's how you get the slides. Woo, that was a lot. And I'm so sorry we went over, but there's your link to the slides. I'll type that in the chat too for those that didn't get it. And then I'm going to let you guys go fast. But thank you for staying a couple minutes over. There you go. You'll have to put the HTTP in front of it maybe, but that's it. bit.ly/Q slides. So thank you so much for coming. I hope this gave you the big picture overall view. You know, you have the, you can join the sessions and see more. There's my email if you want it. And hopefully you'll be able to use this with your kids this fall when you go back to school, wherever you are. So that's it for today. And I'm going to stop the recording, stop presenting, and stop recording and let you all go. So thank you so much. Bye-bye. Nice to see you. Thanks so much for coming.
Bye-bye. Julian?
Uh-huh.
How do I make sure in Google Docs, you know, send me a copy